Good evening, Peter Olson, Chicago Family Law Group here. We support the legal needs of middle-income families and protect children during times of conflict so that your and their futures are secure. Okay, here's the title for today. Sometimes you need a lawyer and sometimes you don't. And do you fix your own toilet? Seriously. So here we go. Here's the story that is causing me to do this video right now. Saw a woman in court today who I had actually done an initial consultation with. In the last few months, we've kept in touch a little bit, emailed her off and on to, honestly, try to serve her and frankly, get her to become a client of ours because her needs match our needs. Her case, she has a divorce case and she has children and there are assets to divide, and therefore we can help her at a fair price point. We're not the most expensive lawyer in town. Like I said, we serve middle income families. And as far as I know, when we spoke, and literally I spoke to her today because I saw her go up to the court, up to the bench, and I recognized her name, and I spoke to her afterwards, like, what are you doing? You're representing yourself now? And yeah, that's her solution. Oh, I found a better way to do this, Peter. I'm just going to do it myself. So that's what inspired this video. So let's talk about when you need a lawyer, when you don't need a lawyer, and talking about doing your own plumbing. Okay, here we go. When don't you need a lawyer in family law? That's what I know, family law. When you have a short-term marriage, let's just say less than 5 years, less than 3 years, you have no children, no significant or controversial assets, and each of the spouses can support themselves, that would be a time when, in my experience, myself, or even just hanging around courtrooms and seeing judges give advice, that's a time when, honestly, you could handle a case yourself. Okay? Right? I'm 28 years old. I've been married for 4 years. My wife and I are both college graduates. This isn't me personally, but I'm saying the hypothetical. My wife and I are both college graduates. We're both earning, $50,000 to $100,000. And now we're getting divorced. Handle that case yourself. Handle that case yourself. I mean, nobody's going to get damaged too much because then you really are just getting the divorce because nobody's paying maintenance. You're not doing anything with kids, and you're not, dividing a business, a house, major assets. So that is the sometimes you don't need a lawyer. If you're not in that box, okay? If you're not in that box, that one box, you need a lawyer. If you have kids, you need a lawyer. If you have minor children, you need a lawyer because there are just tons of ramifications. If you just add the child piece to a case, that you're foolish to basically handle something yourself and not access the expertise of somebody who's been doing this for 15 years, right? Because you just add a kid, you now have huge issues concerning that kid's upbringing, parenting time of that child, and financial support of that child. So if you have kids, you have a long-term marriage, long-term relationship, imbalance of incomes where somebody's clearly, needing support from the other person, and you have major assets to divide, you need a lawyer. So sometimes you don't. Short-term marriage, no kids, no assets, you don't. Any other box, you add kids to any equation, and you start to add long-term marriage. One spouse is dependent on the other for support. You need a lawyer. You need expertise. You don't need a lawyer. You need expertise, which means you need a good, focused lawyer on family law. So, there you got it. Sometimes you don't need a lawyer, sometimes you do. And let me wrap with this. Um, would you fix your own toilet, and would you fix your own sink? And what is the best use of yourself? That's really the summary point, because really, I'm thinking of myself here, and I'm thinking about this woman I saw in court today and wondering if this is you. Okay? This week, within the last week, I paid, I don't know, 700. My wife kind of runs our home stuff, but I see the bill sometimes. I paid $900 to fix our kitchen sink. We were having some problems, and ultimately, I think a new sink was installed and some plumbing work was done, installation and otherwise. So, paid $800 to $1,000 for a new sink in our kitchen. Now, what is true? I could have fixed the sink myself. It would have taken a ton of my time, and I would have done a much, much worse job than the plumber. Okay? Let's apply that to the divorce and family law context. The reality is, this woman I saw in court today can handle her own divorce. Guaranteed she's going to have multiple court appearances and go absolutely nuts trying to deal with the circuit court clerk's office. But you know what? The reality is, with probably 10 hours of her time, she'll be able to finish up that case. Just like I could fix my sink. But then secondly is right the issue of, let's talk about quality. I wouldn't know the first thing about fixing my sink. I'd, grab a book from the library, post some crap on Facebook and look at YouTube videos and try to figure it out and maybe get it done eventually, and probably terribly. So let's think of my example now, right? I have spent 10 hours fixing my sink terribly, and now I have a leaky kitchen and a miserable life because I decided to do it myself, okay? Instead of paying, again, it was about $1,000, I think, in the end to fix it by the time we bought a sink and paid the plumber. So even though there are times you could handle a case yourself, really the question is, do you want to be me fixing my sink with your divorce case? And I would say that even in the context of an easy case, because what's the example I would use here? This is somebody who just actually paid us some money today, so he's in my head. He's in a box. His case is in a box where he could have done it himself, meaning he's in that box of sometimes you don't. Short-term marriage, no kids, no assets, everybody supports themselves. But you know what? He's smart, and he doesn't want to do his own divorce. He's a smart, highly educated professional, and so why would he want to do something badly, and why would he not want to use himself at his best level, i.e. doing his computer programming or whatever work he does, and basically come to court one time and pay us $1,400 to just do a really, actually very simple, uncontested divorce. So best use of that guy is to be a computer programmer, let us handle the legal work where we have the expertise, come to court one time, pay us $1,400, handle the divorce case just like I paid a plumber $1,000 to fix our sink. So, you got it? Sometimes you don't need a lawyer, sometimes you do, but really, in every situation, you should, because you don't want a crappy, leaking sink and a terrible, poorly done divorce that took you 10 hours, and at the end of the day, you don't get what you're entitled to, i.e., money from your ex-husband and half of his pension, like this woman claims she thinks that he's agreeing to, and yet she's not going to get it because she doesn't know how to get it. So there you go. There are times you don't need a lawyer, but a lot of times you do, and you always should when you have a good, focused attorney who's an expert in what they do. And that's us in the divorce and child custody area. Our firm's been in business since 2005. We provide quality service at a fair price, especially for an uncontested divorce. That's actually one of the lower price points that you're going to see in the legal field. But you know what? If it's uncontested or a 3-year battle, the key is, do you get the terms you want and the assets and financial support that you're entitled to from your ex-spouse? Check us out at familylawchicago.com. You can chat right now, 24/7. Attorney Peter Olson here, signing off.